He won't get off the lap. Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video we are doing the most asked piercing questions on the internet, and today all the questions are starting with can, so let's get into it. So first question we have is, can piercings close? And yes, they absolutely can. The piercing will definitely close at both exits, but the tunnel may stay intact. It really just depends. That's not always the case. Exceptions to this are piercings that you may have had for 10 plus years. These piercings generally stay open. I'm not saying they definitely can't. If you leave them out for long enough, piercings generally will close up, but there are some piercings that, like, if you've just had them for quite a long time, they just don't close. So for instance, I've got 2 nose piercings and the front one will never close. I could leave that out for months and it won't close. The back one I have had for maybe I think 8 years, and if I take that out, it will close up. Like, if I left it out for a few months, it would be completely closed. So it really just depends. And it also depends on how your body heals as well. My septum will not close, but I got that done in high school. A lot of things that I got in high school just will not close up. But things like cartilage, they definitely close up a lot sooner, a lot quicker than something like a nose. If you haven't had it for that long, if it is a new piercing, especially if it's brand new, do not take it out because it will certainly close. But even if it is a few months old, if you take it out for even overnight, your piercing can close up. So yes, your piercing can close, and just be wary of the time frame in which you take it out. If it is quite new, if you've had it for less than a year, I definitely wouldn't be taking it out overnight. If you've had it for longer than 2 years, you should be able to take it out for a few days and be fine. Whereas if you've had it for 10 plus years, you're looking at it potentially not closing, and you could have it out for months and still be able to put it back in. Some piercings, if you've had for over 10 years, you could take them out for a year and still put it back in. So it really varies. It's hard to say, but generally, if it's quite new, yes, you can take it out, but don't leave it out for too long. If it's quite old, yes, you can take it out and you can leave it out for quite a long time, but just maybe test it every few months or something if you want to keep it. Because when you're putting any piercing back in, you should never be shoving it through. You should never be putting a lot of force to get it through. It doesn't want to be hurting. If it isn't just slipping straight in, that's when we need to look at re-piercing it. Sometimes within the tunnel, it just can have loaded up with a lot of dead skin and just general bodily sebum gunk. But you don't want to be pushing it to pop it through, because that's when you're tearing, breaking skin, you're damaging the skin, you're causing scarring. You don't want to be pushing to something's going to pop through and break the skin. You never want to be breaking the skin when you're putting jewelry back into a piercing you've had the jewelry taken out of. Can piercings make you sick? Absolutely they can. So I guess the main risk around getting sick from a piercing is that it can get infected. And I mean, from an initial infection, you don't necessarily get sick in another way, just that area is quite unwell. However, if you leave an infection untreated, it can turn septic, and that is where you will have major issues and you can get very sick from this. And these are things you can get fevers, shortness of breath, sweating, confusion, and this is when it's not up to a piercer to be helping you. You need to go to a doctor. I mean, you need to have gone to a doctor much before this stage. This is why most of the time when I either see an infection or I hear of someone telling me about an infection, I just tell them to go straight to the doctor. We can't do anything for an infection. An infection needs to be treated by antibiotics and a doctor needs to deal with that. We actually can't do anything on our end. No amount of cleaning is going to get rid of an infection. You need antibiotics. So basically, an infection can turn into sepsis, which then makes you very sick. And I mean very sick. You can get extremely ill from this. You can even die from this. So it is a serious thing. This is very rare. It isn't often that you see this happen, but it does definitely happen. And this is generally with infections that have been left unattended. But that would be any infection. I mean, you could get an infection on a wound somewhere else on your body, and if you just left it and it got gradually worse, it's likely going to turn septic, and that is not okay. This is the main concern around how you can get sick from piercings, is that the infection turns really bad. I guess it's just a really bad fever, but it gets worse and worse. It's not you sleep it off and it's better. It's it gets worse. You get very ill. So please, if you think you have an infection, get it checked by a doctor. the piercer can't fix you there. Can piercings help with migraines? I've answered this one 4,500 times, so I might not answer it again, but yes and no is the answer. If you want to hear me talk about it, I would click on this video. I talk about it in depth. Yes, it can help, but we are not acupuncturists, so we can also be damaging the area and then hence ruining the alleviation of it forever. So watch the video, I'll explain it better. Can piercings get infected when healed? This is a great question actually, and yes, they can. However, it generally comes with some sort of irritation. So whether you have had your piercing yanked, pulled, torn, these are the things that can lead to the irritation due to like broken skin, which then is an open wound, which then can introduce an infection if bacteria is getting inside it. So yes, it can happen. However, it's generally because some sort of event has occurred. It won't just like randomly just get infected because it is completely contained. It's a closed wound. If you think of the jewelry, your body has created a barrier. It's like another piece of skin inside there now. You need to tear it and like have that open in order to have that irritation. Cartilage is more common though because like people tend to bump it and then it can get irritated. However, you will find that generally happens because the piercing wasn't completely healed in the first place. You may have had it for 2 years and then caused a bump, and because it wasn't completely healed, it will then get irritated like that and then lead to infection. Whereas if I were to bump my cartilage piercings now, there would be no effect because I've had them for so long that they're completely healed. I've said it before, even though it feels healed, it may not be healed. So that is another like part to think about, is that like sometimes piercings you may think they are healed and then they might get infected and you're like, how the hell did this happen? Like I didn't do anything, but they may not actually be healed completely, and that might be the reason for the infection as well. Can piercings bruise? I mean, yeah, just like any other part of your body, it can bruise, but it's not necessarily like the piercing that's bruised, it's just the area around the piercing or the area where the piercing is bruised, just like it would have bruised if there wasn't a piercing there. Can piercings cause cancer? I mean, I'm not a scientist, so I can't say for sure, but there shouldn't be a reason why putting a needle through your body would cause cancer, you know? I mean, people might bring up that carcinogens cause cancer, so like things that could be in certain jewelry that you're wearing. However, if you're wearing implant grade titanium, it's the implant grade what is put in people's bodies when they get implants. That has been certified and used for so long that it's like completely safe, and that's why it is recommended to wear that type of jewelry because it is known to be safe. Can piercings move? Absolutely they can. Moving generally comes with them migrating. So generally they're pushing themselves out of your body. Your body's going, I don't want you, get the hell out of here. It's a common thing you see with surface piercings. Your piercing will move and you'll see that it's moving towards the surface. It's migrating out. It's trying to get out of your body. Piercings can also move if you sleep on them when they're healing. So for instance, with like upper cartilage piercings, if you sleep on them, they can definitely slant in a different direction to which they were pierced because you've been sleeping on them. Can piercings migrate? I think I just answered my own question there. Yes, they can. When your body's like, I don't want you, they will get the hell out of there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if any of these were things you didn't know or you were surprised by the answer to these. Please give me a like down below if you enjoyed this and subscribe if you're new here, and I'll be back with another video very soon. Bye.